15 minutes. We are about to be in 2021. So, in this vlog, I definitely want to reflect on like my 2020, and I encourage all of you to use this tag and reflect on your 2020, and not just the bad. Like, we want to reflect on the good, the bad, the ugly, the exciting, the unexpected, and really just release any energy you need to release and make this next year your best year, regardless of what happens, regardless of COVID and all that kind of stuff. Like, don't let your circumstances determine whether or not you have an excellent year. 3, 2, 1. Happy New Year! Hey! Out outside, it's raining like extremely hard. Happy New Year, everybody. It is New Year Day. I'm feeling good, you know. I really just wanted to reflect on last year and like talk about some things that happened. And I want to create a tag. I don't know if one has already been created, but I'm going to think of what it's called, and I will put that in the description. And you can use this tag and reflect on your new year and tell us all about it. And make sure you tag me so that I can see your video. Last year started off kind of rocky for me. I was working a job that I was starting to like hate. Like, I really hated my job. And so I wasn't really happy about that. Last New Year's Eve, I did not celebrate. Like, it just, like, 2019 ended a little rocky for me, and then 2020 started a little rocky for me, and I was already kind of like on edge. Like, I expected good things for 2020 because I was manifesting good things for 2020, but I just felt really bad. Like, I was in a very low vibrational state. And then basically the year started, like, everything was normal at first. That was before coronavirus started. And so it was just like, you know, regular old FML type vibe, like nothing special. And so, you know, I continued to go to work, even though I was having a really hard time making it to work on time. I was having a hard time being motivated not to call out of work. My job was doing like occurrences, so I was so deep in the occurrences, like, it's surprising that I wasn't fired yet. So I just, I don't know, January was kind of like blah. It just kind of went by. And then February came, and I was like hitting my breaking point. And like towards the end of February, coronavirus became a thing in Georgia, but like I didn't really know that. I hadn't heard much about it. It still wasn't like a big deal here. And so one day, I think it might have been February 9th. It was a Sunday. And I was supposed to be going to work, and I just like, I don't know, like I just had like this like mental breakdown for real. And I'm not going to give you the details. It had nothing to do with COVID, but like it was just, you know, a really low point in my life. Like, I hadn't been at that point since like 2015. So I ended up in the hospital, in the freaking mental ward of the hospital. And I was there for like a week and a half. I was supposed to only be there for 3 to 5 days, but then like things took a turn for the worst. That happened, and I missed work for like, I want to say almost 14 days, like maybe like 11 or 12 days of work I missed. And I went back to work, and things were okay. I mean, I still hated my job, like sincerely. And so as COVID started to unfold, what are you doing? Oh my God. So That's my husband. So basically in March, things started to unfold, and by April, we were working from home. And like I was hearing a lot and reading a lot online about how they were saying that the quarantine was causing a lot of people to struggle with mental health. And I'm pretty sure, like, I could see how that could be true, especially for people who are like out and about all the time. They don't really spend a lot of time at home. And then being forced to spend all that time at home, like, I could see how that could be an issue. But for me, I was happiest when when I got to work from home. Like, I still hated my job. I still hated my job working from home, but like I was really happy that I got the opportunity to work from home and I didn't have to go into the office and like see all these people and have all these fake conversations. People being offended when you don't say good morning, and it's like, I don't even know you. Like, we worked on a production floor with like over 150 people. It's like I was definitely out of my element. Like, that's not my vibe to be around so many people every day. And so, yeah, like I was happy to work from home. Things seemed like they were taking a turn for the better. It was still difficult. You know, April, May, June, like pretty much the spring and the summer flew by. It was like it didn't even happen. It flew by. And we were preparing. It was just so crazy. It was crazy that everything was happening because we were planning our wedding, and we had been planning our wedding for almost a year at that point. And we already had a date set, which was in August of 2020. When coronavirus started being like a bigger issue, we thought it would pass. Like, you know, it would come and it would go. We thought that it would pass pretty quickly. Like, we figured it was just a scare tactic. Like, I definitely believe in conspiracies. I don't necessarily call them conspiracy theories because I believe that a lot of conspiracies are definitely true. People conspire, companies conspire, the government conspires. Like, that's a thing. So I figured like this was just a conspiracy. Like, they just wanted to scare us and gain control of us. I still kind of believe that, especially with just how they present it in the news. And if you really do your research, just the lack of effort that goes into actually determining what caused the person's death. They're very quick to like tag it as coronavirus. So I wasn't really like into the idea that this was going to be an all year thing. And so we continued to plan our wedding. We were very like that we would have to cancel our wedding or reschedule it because like we really just wanted to get married. Like, we wanted to just be married. And honestly, like, family is the only thing that kept us from eloping. Like, you know, I don't see anything wrong with just going to a courthouse and signing the paperwork and being married. Like, I don't see anything wrong with that because ultimately the wedding is just a formality. Like, we just wanted to be married and move on with our lives as husband and wife. And so we were worried that that might be delayed by this virus, but we continued to plan. And then also we had a goal of buying a house, and a lot of things went awry with that. And so it's like, you know, we just kept trying. Like, we didn't give up. We went throughout the year, and August of 2020, we got married. And it was then, like, everything seemed cool. You know, our wedding definitely was a lot smaller than we had planned for it to be because COVID was still going on. So a lot of people were not able to travel, or some people just didn't feel comfortable attending an event with, you know, other people. So we didn't have that much like physical attendance, but everybody really supported us. Like, we received well wishes and gifts in the mail, and so we still felt like, you know, we appreciated the love and like we were happy to be married. So that happened. And then at the end of August, because like on my wedding day, my grandmother, one of my grandmothers was there, but my other grandmother didn't come. She wasn't feeling well, so she did not attend. And so after the wedding, we went to her house. Before we left for our honeymoon, we went to her house and gave her a gift bag and all of that, and like shared some pictures with her. And like she was really happy for us and like happy that we got married. And then like I don't know, maybe a week later she passed away. And so and like she didn't pass away from coronavirus, so that was like the high note of it all. Like she passed of old age and she was at home in the comfort of her house in her bedroom, like, you know, the way that we all hope to someday go rather than some of the other tragic ways you could go. And so, you know, that was like a sad moment after our wedding. It was like we had our wedding, we went on our honeymoon, and then we got back from our honeymoon and we spent like time with family. It was like, it felt like, I don't know, it felt like it was so long. Like it felt like such a long time that we were at her house and everybody was at her house. Like pretty much nobody left unless we were leaving to go get like alcoholic beverages. Like we were just there. And then we had our funeral. I believe we had our funeral the last day of August. And then after that, like, of course, things did not start to get back to normal. But we still like kept on with our plans. Like we wanted to buy a house really bad. And for the past 2 years, we've been applying for mortgages and getting denied for various reasons. It's always a different reason. And it just feels like BS that mortgage companies don't give you a full list of why you're being denied. They just tell you one or two reasons. Then when you resolve those one or two reasons, you get denied again. You get denied again for one or two different reasons that has nothing to do with the first reasons you were denied. And so it just felt like a never-ending game of dangle the carrot. And I felt like, you know, we had a significant amount of money saved up as our down payment. Like, you know, we had, you know, first-time home buyers only have to come up with 3 to 5% of their down payment. We had at least 10 to 20% of our down payment already saved up. And so we just felt like, you know, we're more than eligible to buy a house, like for many reasons, but mainly because it's not like we're trying to buy a house with no money down. It's not like we have terrible credit. It's not like we don't have an income. It's not like we don't pay our bills on time. It was just so much ridiculousness that I'm like, this is insane. So I gave up on the mortgage thing. I dumped my real estate agent because she was giving me like shady vibes. Not shady vibes as in like the transaction, but more so like shady vibes as in it seemed like she was not interested in what was best for my husband and I. It seemed like her only interest was how much money she was going to make off the deal. And it's like, I get it. Like, this is your living. Like, this is what you do to make a living. And you have to eat too. Like, I get that you don't want to spend time on something that's not going to actually be profitable for you. But at the same time, it's like you didn't have to put any money into this. So any amount of money is profitable for you. And even if you don't want to be a part of this transaction, you could just say that. And like maybe next time we'll have a bigger transaction and we will do business with you. But the way she went about it was just, it left a really bad taste in my mouth. Like I felt a lot of negativity coming from her. And this so isn't like, the last house we're going to buy. Like this might be our first house, but it's definitely not the last house. And it's like, you know, she won't have to ever worry about hearing from me again. Like, honestly, I believe in brand loyalty. I'm a loyal customer, but like, if I get a bad vibe from you, like that's it, because, you know, there's enough negativity and people wishing you failure, like in general. There's enough people out there who are going to tell you that what you're trying to do is never going to work. There's enough people out there who's going to tell you maybe this isn't for you or maybe you should wait another year. There's plenty of that going on. I don't need people in my corner who are going to give off that same vibe. So I let that go, and we decided we were going to buy a house cash, which is the main thing that brought that on is when we decided we were going to buy a house cash. And we decided not to use an agent at all. And we just started looking. Me and my husband talked about it, and we're like, we're willing to live anywhere in Georgia. Like, we don't have to stay in Atlanta, which is where we currently live. We could live anywhere in Georgia. And so we started looking. I looked very diligently, and it's funny because another thing the agent was saying to me is that there are no houses in the price range that I wanted. She's saying, oh, you're not going to be able to find a house for that amount of money. And I'm like, you know, this is your job. Like, this is your job to find the house. So if you're telling me that something is not possible and then I go out there and find it by myself, like, you have to realize that you just fired yourself. Like what in the world? But basically, I found the house. Like, I went online and I found several houses that were in my price range and below my price range. And I went and I found the house. And we found several houses, but I found one that really just, like, I connected with it. And the house was so far away. I don't even know how, but I got this vibe. Like, I had sent out a lot of messages, like emails, and I had called several people about houses that were listed for sale. And someone called me back. And honestly, I didn't even remember the house when the person called me back. And they're like, "Are you still interested in this property?" And I was like, "How much does it cost?" Like, what is the listing price? And when she told me the listing price, I was like, yes. Like, I was like, is there actually a house on that, or is there just land? Because that was another thing, like, around the Atlanta area, you'll find a lot of land at decent prices, but there's nothing on the land. So you have to build your house from scratch. And we didn't want to have to do that. Like, we didn't have the funds to do that. So when she told me that there was a house on the land, I was like super excited. I'm like, I'm coming down there to see it right now. It was like maybe 9 a.m. I literally dropped everything and put on some shoes and drove 2 hours to go see this house. And my husband was at work. I knew, like, I couldn't make a final decision without him, but I figured, like, going to see the house and showing some serious interest in it might work in our favor to make sure that we win the bid. Because, you know, no matter how you buy a house, there's always, like, a possibility that you're going to be bidding against someone else who might outbid you and get the house even though you put an offer on it. So basically, like, I went and looked at the house and I was really excited. I took videos. I sent the videos to my husband. I'm like, I love this house. Like, I want to get this one. And so he's like, all right, cool. So we went ahead and put an offer on it. We bought our house, like, closing went extremely smooth. And we were really happy. We felt like it was meant to be. And so after that, you know, that was probably the last high note of our year, honestly. So we bought the house and we started working on it. It needed quite a bit of work. So we're still working on it, actually. We're planning to be done by March. With how quickly things were moving at first, we thought we might be done by the end of December or January, but we've run into, like, kind of a couple of tough spots in the renovation process, and it's going to definitely be done by March. I don't think we're going to finish before March, and that's fine because that was our original date. But basically after that, you know, we were just kind of living life normal. We made a change of plans and we stopped doing Airbnb for a little while. And we had been doing Airbnb since 2017. So that kind of was tough because we had become, like, slightly dependent on the Airbnb income. And we didn't even realize it. Like, we didn't even realize how dependent on the Airbnb income we were until we were no longer doing Airbnb or getting those checks. And it was just kind of like, man, we kind of shot ourselves in the foot with that one. But we really wanted to just, like, let go of some of the financial burdens that we were carrying in Atlanta. You know, we didn't want to have bills in Atlanta and bills 2 hours away in this new house. So we decided to give that up so that we could save some money. And truthfully, what we did was cut our monthly income short. And we didn't even realize we were doing that. And it kind of sucked. So that was at the end of November. Our last Airbnb guest stayed, like, towards the very end of November. And then after that, we were in December. So honestly, as far as finances go, December has been the most difficult month that we've had in years, like years. And I didn't see it coming. Like, I budget, like, I handle the finances mostly, and, like, I do a weekly budget, and I was just thinking to myself, like, screw the weekly budget. You should have been doing an annual budget, because I never foresaw that we would have such a prosperous year, such a stable year, and then the very last month of the year, things are, like, falling apart. And it was just driving me crazy. I was so ready for December to be over. I was so ready for December to be over. Really, with that being said, I was really happy to find out that we would be getting a second stimulus check, because like the first stimulus check we got, we didn't really need the money. Like, we were doing well. Like, we didn't really need the money. I was thankful that we didn't need the money, that we wouldn't blow through it so quickly so that we could put something away. But now it's like, people are complaining about this $600 check. We need that. Between the two of us, it'll be $1,200, and we freaking need that. And honestly, I wish we had children, because we need a tax return. We need those extra checks for the kids. Like, we need that money. And so it's like, I'm looking forward to that, because December was rough. And then, now we're in a new year, and well, I skipped a part, honestly. Like, I probably skipped the worst part. So, of course, I mentioned that December was very difficult financially. But to tack on to that, my husband's grandfather died. And we made an unexpected trip to North Carolina for that reason. And he actually, oh, my bad, give me like 2 seconds. Thank you. He actually passed from COVID. And so it's like, that just makes it all the worse. That's actually the only person that we know who died from COVID. And it kind of makes it a little more real for you, like just a little bit. I still have my suspicions. We all still have our suspicions, but it does make you like think twice about what's going on. It definitely makes you think twice about going to a hospital. Like, if I'm having an asthma attack and they're going to say I have COVID, like, I definitely would rather stay my ass at home and have an asthma attack. Just saying. But really, like, we ended the year on a high note. We celebrated with family, and we all are just hoping for better things to come. None of us, like, I know a lot of people out there feel like 2020 was the worst year ever. And it's like, I don't feel that way. With all of the things that occurred this year, I feel like the year was, so-so. I feel like it could have been better. It could have been worse. It was a year. And at first, I felt kind of bad, because the way that the year was going, especially towards the fall time, it just felt like, man, like, this is a really good year for us. Like, this is like the best year. So many awesome things are happening. One of the better things that happened towards the end of the year, I actually just finished my degree. I just finished my last class. Now I can officially say that I am college educated. I finished my degree. And so it's like, really, when you break it all down, it's like I held on to a job for a lot longer than a lot of people were able to this year. And then, I ended up in the hospital, and because my health insurance was pretty decent, I didn't really have a bill to pay afterwards, which was my main concern. We bought a house, we got married, I finished college. Like, those are like such great things that happened. I almost like felt bad. Like, I felt guilty for feeling like I was having a good year when so many people are suffering, like, emotionally and financially, and just like people dying and not having any real explanation as to why. And so, I definitely felt bad about that. But then I decided not to feel bad about it, because one thing I realize is that I've been having tough times during times that other people are having a good time. And, nobody feels bad for me, and I don't want them to. Like, I feel like at the end of the day, we all do have the power to manifest what we truly want in life and how we truly want to feel. And it's like, regardless of your circumstances, you can feel however you want to feel. And really, like, getting a hold of that and like grasping onto that has really helped me to just feel like, this year was great at times and this year was terrible at times. And I don't feel like bad about it. Like, I don't feel like it's a bad thing. I don't feel sorry for people who have chosen to only see the bad in it. I don't feel sorry for people who chose to quit their job and employment just to realize the check wasn't going to come anytime soon. Like, I kind of feel like, we all make our own decisions, and, you know, I know a lot of people were laid off or like just flat out the company closed. And like a lot of people had those kind of misfortunes. But there were also a lot of people, especially here in Atlanta, like even at my job where I was working, there were a lot of people who, when the job started saying, oh, we're not going to give you occurrences for missing work if it's COVID related, or if you have children that aren't in school right now because of COVID and things like that, people were taking advantage of that. Like so many people were like skipping out on work. There were people that were only coming to work a couple days a week and then filing for partial unemployment. And it's like, that's a choice, you know, that's a choice. So when your unemployment gets cut off and you can't find another job, like, who do you think is going to feel sorry for you? But it's like, you know, a lot happened. And I feel like it was a learning experience for everyone. I definitely regained my motivation to do some marketing and work on my businesses a lot more. Like, honestly, I had been neglecting my business, my pole dance company. It's actually an online company. And it's funny because I've had that company since 2015. It's been online since 2017. And I never really, like, I kind of felt like, oh, maybe this won't take off. Like, maybe nobody will be interested. Because for the most part, you go to those classes in person. There's not really too many people doing it online. And so I have been neglecting it over the past year and a half, not recent year and a half, but like 2019 and like part of 2020, like for a year and a half, I had been neglecting my business, not doing any marketing, like not on social media the way I should be, and just things like that, where it was time for me to quit that job and full-fledged focus on my businesses, because it wasn't a very high-paying job anyway, and I felt like there's no reason that I can't make that same amount of money, if not more, through my business if I just, you know, put my full effort into it. And so I quit my job in September after we bought our house, and I've been working on my business and just coming up with new marketing ideas and trying to create a budget and things like that. Now that people are pretty much scared to go do things with other people, you know, I feel like I have a fighting chance that people will be interested in taking my lessons online from their house rather than going somewhere where they're in a small classroom with several other people less than an arm's length distance away, and an instructor who's going to come and like touch you basically. So that was my 2020, and it was a lot for me, and I'm interested in hearing how 2020 was for you, a full reflection, not just focusing on the bad, but tell me all about your year. And I think this is it for this vlog. I'm going to include, well, I'm including like a lot of other footage from New Year's Eve, and just, you know, showing you how much fun we had. Very organic fun. We didn't really go anywhere, do anything special, but we enjoyed each other's company. So I want to end this by just wishing you well. I wish you prosperity for this new year, happiness, love, health, and everything else that you're out there hoping, dreaming, wishing, and working for. And I love you guys for watching this video and sharing these moments with me. To me, this is sort of like a release. I encourage you all to release the energy that was harnessed during 2020 so that you can move forward with a clean slate. Well, I will see you next time. Of course, I'm going to get back to my home improvement videos. We just had a little break in that. And I wanted to make sure that I did this because a new beginning is here.